I was a little puzzled that your textbook stuck this slightly odd artistic movement between realism and impressionism, since I think of it as having a strong romantic element, but actually it's hard to categorize. The Pre-Raphaelites were founded in 1848 by a self-described Brotherhood of English Artists. They set out to reform art by rejecting what they considered to be the mechanistic approach that was first adopted by Mannerist artists. In fact, they rejected anything that seemed to use artifice. They believed that even the classical poses and elegant compositions of high Renaissance painters, Raphael in particular, had corrupted art. That's why they took the name Pre-Raphaelite. The groups returned to spiritual and religious themes, and their admiration for the Middle Ages show their affinity with Romantic painters. But their commitment to accurately portraying nature, their rejection of convention, allies them more with the realist school. So I guess it was hard to figure out where to put them in the textbook. This is probably the most famous Pre-Raphaelite painting. The subject is Hamlet's mad love interest, Ophelia, who drowns herself. When I was a student at Oxford, one of my British friends told me that all British adolescent girls, by which I think he probably meant British adolescent girls who are receiving an elite education, go through a Pre-Raphaelite phase. And here's one of Malet's religious paintings. Well, this is not an actual scene from the Bible. It was an effort to capture what the artist imagined was Jesus' real and quite humble early life. In this sense, it has a kinship with the realists. Note, too, that the composition is not posed in the traditional way of altarpieces. And Mary, likewise, is not portrayed as transcendently beautiful. So, with that quick look at the Pre-Raphaelites, we're going to come now to a painter who really rocked the art world and served as a bridge between realist art and the Impressionist school that will follow and will be the last group of painters that we'll look at in this course after we briefly detour to Japan to look at woodblock prints. So this painting shocked the art world for a whole range of reasons, which this video clip will begin to explain. So contrast Monet's painting with the earlier artistic conventions for painting nudes. They're goddesses, not real women, and they do not look us in the eye. So let's see another brief video clip. This neoclassical painting is not in your textbook, but it is, I was a little surprised to see, the subject of a set of image-based AP questions which will now show up on your unit exam. The Queen of England, George III's wife, Queen Charlotte, dispatched a German painter to Florence to paint the Florence of the Gallery, the Uffizi, a precursor to art museums. Note the aristocratic men gathered to admire the art, most notably the painting in the bottom center. Do you recognize it? That's Titian's Venus of Urbino. Here, women are definitely objects of observation and desire and subjects of painting, but not painters or, like the men pictured, art connoisseurs, which is kind of curious, given that a woman commissioned this painting. And now we see Manet's take on the same theme, and indeed, his deliberate takeoff on Titian. Again, Manet's nude looks right at us. As depicted in this painting, she is almost certainly the wealthy mistress of a wealthy French bourgeois man. Note the flowers that her lover has probably sent her, and she doesn't look especially ashamed about it either, does she? Notice how much less modeled Manet's figure is than Titian's. This partly reflects the influence of photography, where subjects would usually be directly lit, and we'll see more about the lighting in this in Manet's painting in a minute. This painting, Olympia, was widely... Oh, I'm sorry, I should have had that Venus of Urbino up. So there's the Venus of Urbino. That's the source of comparison, which you just saw in the other painting. So Manet's Olympia was widely criticized and it inspired a number of caricatures. Notice the cat being shocked by the painting. Here is our old buddy Daumier's caricature. In this case, he's caricaturing the family viewing Manet's Olympia, and we know that was the painting that they were looking at. So what he's really caricaturing here is the bourgeois audience that was so easily shocked. So here's still another famous Manet painting and another commentary on gender roles in 19th century France. Manet shows us a beautiful young barmaid arrayed with all the other items that are for sale to the prosperous men of the upper middle class. Check out the mirror behind her and the man who's ogling her. In my next lecture, I'm taking us on a brief detour to 19th century Japan, which will lead us pretty quickly back to Europe and then to the final topic for this unit, the Impressionists. But first, let's return one more time to the video for a brief discussion of some of the ways that Manet's painting techniques, as well as his subject matter, shocked the Academy.